Hey y'all, I felt compelled to come on here and tell this story today because my BFFK just texted me earlier and said that on the Dr. Oz show today they were talking about people who had failed LASIK eye surgery like I had, and that there were people committing suicide. I know I heard about a young girl with two young children. I think she was a newscaster or a weathercaster up north somewhere who committed suicide just a few months after her surgery. And there were apparently a lot more. I've not talked about this. I'm trying not to get emotional. I've not talked about this a whole lot online. I mean, now and then I know I mention in my videos, hey, I can't see this because of LASIK and don't do it, but I've not even talked to my family about what you actually go through. Oh my God. I usually try to stay very strong and very positive about things so that I had no idea this was going to bother me this way. I apologize. I usually try to stay very positive and find the best side of everything and not let things bother me and rise above it and be strong. My eye surgery was in October of 2017, so it's already been a year ago. And I am better, and I'm so thankful for that. I am better. I am better than I was about 4 months in. That's why I feel so bad about this family that's without their family member now, and other people too. If you can get past that, I'm going to share with you some tips and things. I'm so hot I can't even sit here in my shirt. I'm nervous. I wrote down things, but it's not like I can see them. I do have a contact in my right eye for seeing distance. And I'm so thankful for that, because at 4 and 5 months in, they told me I would never be able to wear contacts because the surface of my eyes were kind of like a golf ball, and in each of those indentations of the golf ball spread light out in every direction, so that's why I couldn't see. I made myself some notes, so I have to have reading glasses over my contact to be able to see up close. First, I want to tell you why I did the LASIK surgery. I actually did something called LASIK and something called a Raindrop Inlay. They gave me this little card. Probably can't see it, nor can I. How about that? But it was called the Raindrop Near Vision Inlay. And I had to keep this with me in my wallet. My surgery date was 10/13/17. And my physician's name was Charles Thompson, MD, at the eye clinic in Lake Charles, Louisiana. And he's a nice guy, and I'm not trying to talk bad about him, but I lost my vision. Whenever my daughter went with me to my next appointment, it was $3,800 is how much I paid for the surgery on both eyes. And I have a 35-year-old daughter, and I'm so thankful for her, because for months and months and months she had to be my driver. I wasn't able to work for months, but I'm going to try not to get into that. But we went up there the day to sign the paper. She went with me, and I was wearing trifocals before this and seeing just fine. I wanted to say the reason that I did this to begin with is I'm on just a retirement focus. I'm 55 years old. I'll be 56 in June, and I want to retire on my 60th birthday. So I am working and focusing and looking at every little thing that I can tweak that will make our expenses be less as we age, so that we can live on, whatever income we still have coming in. My husband's a little bit younger than me, 6 years, so he'll be working a little longer and then have a retirement. But anyway, my main reason for doing the LASIK surgery was so that I wouldn't be paying $600 or $800 every year or every other year for glasses, because that's a big expense when you're on a limited income. So that was my motivation. And when we went in to sign the paperwork for it, the lady was very nice there in the office, and she played a couple of videos for us. We signed papers during them and talked during them and all that, so I don't know a whole lot about it, but I did catch a part during it that said there's a possibility that some people have to wear reading glasses afterward. And I said, no, I'm not going to sign this, because my whole purpose for doing this is to be able to retire without having the expensive glasses. And if I'm still going to need glasses, there's no sense in me paying $3,800 for this surgery and coming out that way. And she said, girl, no, I have been working here for 17 years. We have never had a person have trouble with LASIK surgery. We've never had a person need glasses. That's an insurance requirement. They make us say that. It's not true. And I looked at Candy. I'm like, I don't know what to do, because I got scared. I got scared for a minute, and the lady's like, my husband and I just got married, and my husband and I are both fixing to do this in a couple of weeks. It's nothing. And so I'm like, okay, I'm back on track. So then it took probably 2 or 3 weeks before I got my appointment to come in, because they had this raindrop inlay. And when I went in to talk to the doctor about the LASIK, he said, hey, there's this new thing, and it's called the raindrop. I thought he said implant, but it's inlay. And he said, we put this in one of your eyes, and it's specifically made for middle-aged and older women. He said, it's perfect for y'all. He said, you put that in, and it's like a lens that stays in your eye, and that helps you to never chance having to have the reading glasses, and to be able to see, you know, everything really clear up close. And, you know, it's just like an extra little tweak to the LASIK. And I'm like, I was so thankful. I was so thankful that he thought of that, and he, you know, was up on the latest technology and all that stuff. So I said, sure. So I waited. He said he wanted other doctors and the people from the Raindrop Company, and everybody wanted to fly in at the same time whenever, and they had to do some type of tweak on their equipment and everything. They didn't call it a tweak. They called it an update on their software. They had to do an update on their software, wait for the implant or inlay to get there, and then other doctors wanted to come and watch them do it. So I waited for that, and the day came, which was apparently October 13th. And everybody was there. My husband brought me to that appointment, and I had to, like, take Valium ahead of time and all this stuff they have you do. And then I was still excited and happy about it, and they brought me in the room, and there were, I don't know how many people, 6 or 7 people in there, because they laid me down in this chair and put the laser, I'm guessing it is, thing over my eye, and gave me a stuffed animal to hold like this. And, you know, they said sometimes that helps people. Sounded a little ridiculous being a middle-aged woman, but I held it, and I thanked God for it afterwards, because it was so painful. Oh my God, it was like fire going around my eye. It's like they plucked my eyeball out of my head, and all I could think was, you know, Johnny Cash and the burning ring of fire, because it was going on in there. The pain was unbelievable. It was worse than my hysterectomy when I was in my 20s. It was worse than natural childbirth, you know, with nothing for pain. It was very painful, and I started crying, and I said I didn't want to do the other eye. And they're like, oh no, it's less than 10 seconds, that just go ahead and do it. The other one, you know, we're going to put the inlay in there. We just make this little flap. It'll be over in a second. I promise it's not going to, you know, continue to hurt. Just, you know, just go on through with it. And all this time, they're moving the stuff over and moving it there. And I kind of, you know, felt helpless and silly and afraid and scared, and, not confident enough to say, let me out of this chair, you know, doubting myself, thinking I was being silly. So I let them do it, and they were right. It didn't last but a few seconds. There are probably claw marks of mine in that stuffed animal they gave me, but they, you know, told me I did good and brought me into this other room. And I saw my husband in the hallway, and I was crying. I said, oh my God, it hurt so bad. It hurt so bad. I never dreamed it. They told me it didn't hurt, and it hurt so bad. And so they all took turns looking through the thing and looking at it and everything, and said, oh, everything looks good. Take this other Valium when you get home so you can sleep tonight. And they gave me some, dark sunglasses that kind of looked about like these, something that probably cost them 50 cents to wear outside that day, and to come back the next morning at like 7 o'clock in the morning and come in a side door. So I did that, and of course I didn't sleep all night. I was in a lot of pain. But it is what it is. I had it done, and I had something to look forward to, because I was never going to have to buy glasses again. I was going to get to retire at 60. So I was, trying to stay positive. So my husband drove me back down there, and they said everything looks great. And then they also told me, I asked the girl and I asked the doctor how long until, because they did the surgery on a Friday and on a health food store, and and it's in a downtown historic district, and every so often there's like big festivals downtown, and it's so busy that everybody has to work and everybody has to be here. I'm like, if I do this, am I going to be able to work on Saturday? Which is the next day after the surgery. And they're like, oh, absolutely, yeah. You'll be fine by the next day. Most people are 20/20 or better by the very next day. And I'm like, this is a miracle. I'm so proud of myself for making this decision. But the next day came, and I couldn't see, and I was in too much pain to do anything. And the next day came, and it was the same way and the same way. And so finally, over time, I don't have time to talk about that. I kept a journal for quite a while so that I wouldn't have to, bore everybody I knew with talking about my problems with my eyes. But I was pretty upset. By the time I was about a month in, I was like, I can't see anything. I don't know what to do, and please just give me some glasses. I needed to go back to work. I worked 11 years on this business to build it to the success that it is, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here, but I'm the one who has the degree in naturopathy. I'm the one who can help the customers. It's not like we're a convenience store and they walk in and grab something off the shelf to buy. They expect somebody to be in here who knows something about all the products to help them when they come in the door, and I couldn't be here. Couldn't drive myself to work if I could be here. Couldn't do anything if I did get here. I said, please just give me some glasses. Just give me back some glasses. Sorry. And he said, glasses are not going to work at this point. We just need to give it a little bit more time. At 3 months in, you'll be good. Sometimes it takes 3 months for people. And I was angry, and I was crying. I was like, 3 months? Are you kidding me? But there was no, I yelled at him. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I can't believe I did this to myself. I take full responsibility, and I don't blame Dr. Thompson, because I elected this. I chose to have this done. Oh. Anyway, 3 months came, and I still couldn't see. And at that time, he told me, well, try buying a pair of reading glasses and breaking the lens out of one side and then wearing them, and then maybe you can use the left eye to see up close. And it didn't work. And they had all this other equipment that they were testing me with, and come to find out what the problem was is because of the dryness of the eyes and because of the golf ball pattern on the eyes. The light was hitting everywhere. This is what he showed me on a picture, and just spreading out everywhere, which didn't allow me to focus in. He would put drops in there to see the green drops, the color of, the nerves of the eyes and things, and even took pictures through the magnifying thing with his cell phone to show other doctors and things like that. And he said, on paper, it looks good. Your numbers look good. And I'm like, I don't care what the numbers say on paper. I can't see. I can't see. And I said, is there anything? Is there anything? And by this time, I didn't know until a few months later. I'm like, I ordered a copy of my records just so that I could look at it. It's not like I could see it. It was all printed small, and even with the reading glasses, I couldn't read much of it. But I did see that at the point where he took the picture of my eyes that day, and he told me that the nerves of my eyes were dying, and there was nothing that we could do. I was going blind. It could not be reversed. The nerve damage could not be reversed. I would never be able to wear contacts. Glasses were not going to do me any good. I was sort of just a lost cause. And I'm driving to Lake Charles, which is an hour from here. Well, I'm not driving, but I'm having to pay somebody else to work for Candy, my daughter, so that she can drive me all the way down there and inconvenience herself and her family, put wear and tear on her car and her tires, and do these same tests week after week that show me going downhill further and further. I was legally blind. I was legally blind by that time. And they didn't tell me that. They were saying, oh, on paper, you're doing good. On paper, you're doing good. But then your nerves are dying. But then your vision's we're not going to be able to stop that. We can't get back the nerves that have died. And I don't know if anybody will ever know the panic that I had at that time. That was about 4 months in. And the reason I want to talk about that is that's the worst. That's the worst. Knowing that you did this to yourself. Knowing that it's only going to get worse. You're going to lose your job. If you're like me and you had a business, your business is going to have to close down, putting 10 other people out of work. Your husband's going to have to take care of you because you can't take care of yourself. If you need to go to the store, your kid has to drive 30 miles to come and get you to take you to the dollar store that's 1 mile from your house. When you walk in the store, you can't go to Walmart anymore, and you can't go to Hobby Lobby anymore because all the overhead lights blind you. You can be in there with your sunglasses on and it doesn't help. You can't read the labels. You can't look at the stuff. You can't shop. You can't work. It's not easy. It's not easy to make it through that part. And I think that's the part, that's the time in where you have to make a decision, and some people apparently have made a decision that life is not worth living like that. I have grandchildren, children, and I know that I'm still a privileged, lucky individual, and there are people who were born that have no vision ever. There's people who never got to drive, people who never got to have a business, people who never got to be an artist. There's people who never got to do any of that. I've had such a blessed life. It is not fair, or was not fair, for me to give up on it then. So I'm like, what he's having me do, using the drops, I didn't even tell you this part. The steroid drops he had me using hurt so bad. Oh my gosh, they were burning so bad. So I told him, I'm like, I think I'm allergic to these drops. It hurts so bad when I put it in. And he said, nobody's allergic to those drops. It's near impossible. The probability of that is near negligible. You're not allergic to the drops. Continue the drops. And I'm like, oh. So I did. Felt like putting acid in my eyes, but I did it because he's the doctor and I'm the person just wanting my eyesight back. Well, by the time we got far enough in to where everything was so bad, he's saying, sometimes when you're on those steroids too long, it causes damage and works to cause more damage than it does to help. And I'm like, I told you. I told you these drops were hurting me. So he changes the drops, and the new drops don't hurt as bad. So I get to a trickle of hope. But then the day came when I couldn't see. I couldn't see nothing in their eye test. And he told me it wasn't going to get better, and more or less it was just going to get worse. So I thought, I believe in natural health. I'm going to do what I believe in. I am not going to give up. I'm going to try harder. So I looked up and had, what do you call it, the Amazon thing read to me. That and Audible have became invaluable. Anyways, I had that read to me, and I read about castor oil helping people with the dry eye disease, and manuka honey, and coconut oil, and ghee. And I remembered going to school at the Ayurvedic Institute in Albuquerque, and we did something called Natrabasti, I believe is the one, and you make this big thing out of wheat dough and like a donut, and you put it like a dam, and you put it around each eye. Then you spoon the warm ghee in there, which is clarified butter, and roll your eyes in it, and it's supposed to regenerate the nerves of your eyes. And I'm like, I'll try anything. Ayurvedic medicine is, thousands of years old, and what this guy's doing's not helping me. So I started putting the castor oil in morning and night. I had my cousin come over. I've got pictures of that because I looked ridiculous, and sent the pictures to the doctor and said, this is what I'm doing. Is this okay? And he said, looks kind of weird, but, whatever you want to do if you think it's going to help. Well, I just was dousing. I increased fish oil. That's going to be in my tips later. And started lubricating my eyes. I used I was having to use the little disposable eye drops, and they were providing those for me at that time. And I would save those droppers and fill it up with the castor oil, and then at night I would fill my eyes up with that, and I wear a sleep mask, and I'll talk about that in the tips too. Well, by this time, instead of having a visit once a week, I was to where visits were 2 times a week. And I went back, and there was some improvement, and I couldn't believe it. He said, I can't believe the difference in the surface of your eyes. So I still continue to this day to do that. And he had never told me about that, but at this time he wanted to take the raindrop out, the inlay out. He said it really needs to come out, and I was petrified of doing that surgery again. It's sort of like that, I don't know the exact phrase of it, but screw me once, shame on you. Screw me twice, shame on me. I was afraid to have eye surgery again. Gosh. So I don't remember if it was my husband or my daughter, to bring me for a second opinion to an eye doctor in Lafayette, Louisiana, a couple hours from here. And they're like, you have got to get that thing out. You're probably going to eventually have to have another eye surgery, but you've got to get that thing out. And it wasn't even centered where it was supposed to be on, my retina or my pupil or whatever. I'm not an eye doctor. It wasn't even centered there. And so I said, well, if that's going to give me some improvement, I'll do it. And I called the eye clinic and set up the appointment, and they made my appointment, and he said it's only going to take 10 minutes or so. It's not going to hurt. He said what we do is basically open the flap, which is still there, flood the area with water, the little inlay pops up, and then we just take like a little sponge and move it out of the way. Of course, that's not what really happened, and I think it took like an hour and a half, maybe even. I don't remember, so I would be lying if I said an exact time, but that's what it seemed like to me. And he flooded the eye and flooded the eye and scraped the eye and scraped the eye and flooded the eye and scraped the eye, and it was stuck. It was not centered for one, but it was stuck and dried on and crusted on to a portion of my eye, and they had to scrape it off. So maybe that was part of the problem. He didn't say anything, but I'll tell you what the receptionist told me that day when I got there. Oh, you're one of the ones that got the raindrop? They went out of business. The company went out of business. This was just months before. They touted this as being the best thing that ever happened for middle-aged women, and the company had gone out of business. And I'm like, Dr. Thompson, if the company went out of business, was something wrong with this inlay? Is that what happened to me? And he said, oh no, they just ran out of money, and another big company's going to pick them up, and it's going to continue. Nothing's wrong with it or anything like that, And so we continued. I continued. Then I want to say then, because this aggravates me now that I'm thinking about it, and it's not in my notes, but as I continued to go there every 2 weeks after that for months, they began to treat me like I was the one who did something wrong. I would have, say, an 11 o'clock appointment, and there would be a big waiting room, and people would come in after me and after me and after me and after me, and they would see them and see them and see them and leave me sitting in that waiting room an hour and a half past my appointment before they would see me. And they would forget to do some of the tests. They would get mad at each other. The girls that were supposed to be taking these numbers down, a second person would have to come take the numbers down. Then, they would come in and be, oh, she forgot to do this. You got to go take that other test and everything, and treating me like I was such a hassle to them. And I'm thinking, I can't even sit in your freaking waiting room because it has all those beautiful windows. I can't see a dang thing. At that point, I was still trying to be upbeat and doing good, and I was going to the dollar store and buying myself cute readers and sunglasses to where they could match my outfits. I was going to be happy and make the best of it. Never told me that I needed special sunglasses or anything like that, but the doctor in Lafayette said, you can't be outside and have that wind blowing and getting your eyes. You can't have that sun coming and getting your eyes. So these are my sunglasses, and these aren't from the dollar store. If you'll see, they come all the way around the side, and they touch my face here and here all the way around. And that's important because you can't let the wind get in there, and you can't let the sun get in there, and you're looking at $250 a pair. I guard these with my life. Those are Maui Gems. That's the ones that the doctor recommended, and they're called wraparounds. And it does help tremendously. And there came a point in time somewhere along in there that first year where I was able to try a contact in the right eye, and it helps enough. And it has went from being a plus, I don't know what, to a +3 to a +2.5, +2. At this point in time, it's a +1.75 in this eye, and when you add that to the +2 reading glasses, then I can see for a little while, a little bit up close. I really still have bad eye fatigue, but then we started adding Restasis, and they gave me samples for a little while, and then we moved me to DeRidder, Louisiana, and for the first couple of months, which is right down the road from my business, and I would and I would use those drops, even though, I prefer not to, but I was doing everything he said because he's the doctor. And they gave me samples for a little while, and then he wrote me a prescription for them this past time, and they're $500. $500 for eye drops. It's unbelievable. What I want to say is, if you can make it past that probably 3.5 to 8 months mark, and keep your mind in there, and if I can share the tips that worked for me in the long run, and you can start those earlier. First, I recommend don't do it. Do not do the LASIK surgery. Do not do an inlay. Don't do it. But if you did do it, if you are going to do it, there's still hope. There's not hope that you're going to see like you used to see. You can't just go get a pair of trifocals and see again. You can't come back from it that way. But life is still worth living. Life is still worth living. Here's the things that I think are important. Wear your glasses on your shirt so you always have them. Keep a pair in every room in case these, when you lean over, fall out of your shirt. Great tip. Keep your eyes lubricated, and that's internal and external lubrication. Whether you use the $500 drops and they have a petroleum-based PM stuff they like you to recommend to put in there if you want to use that, and if you want to use the little disposable drops, you know, 10 one little dropper full every hour on the hour, which is what I had to do for a long time. Just make sure to keep it lubricated from the very beginning. Keep it lubricated. For me, I choose to do the castor oil, hexane-free castor oil instead of the petroleum-based product, and it made a marked difference in my improvement. I don't believe I would have been able to sit here and see where this camera is at today to talk to you had I not been using the castor oil. Look up Natrobostia if you want to in Ayurveda. But internal oleation is important too, and that's fish oil. And 4 grams is what I recommend. Normally you're going to be recommended to take 2 grams a day for whatever. 4 grams a day when you're trying to lubricate your body from the inside out and have enough lubrication in there to be able to keep your eyes lubricated, for your body to have what it needs. 4 grams a day of really good fish oil. I use Ocean's Blue, which is a pharmaceutical grade, really good one. Barlean's is another really good brand. Make sure you have good sunglasses, like I mentioned earlier. Don't go anywhere without these. You need these if you're going to try to get to where you drive again. With this contact, I can now, at a year in, I could drive again. And I found that out by accident. The doctor didn't know it. I went to Dollar Tree and they had a pair of prescription sunglasses. That's when I was still buying the dollar stuff, and I forgot they were prescription sunglasses because I just had them in my pile of sunglasses, and I put them on and I was trying to drive home and I'm like, something ain't right. Something ain't right. And I felt a little bit wishy-washy, but I came up to a red light and I could see it. And I looked to the right and that's where the Dollar Tree was at. And I looked to the left and that's where Walmart was at. And I could see their signs. I could read the words on the building that said Dollar Tree. I could read the words on the building that said Walmart. I could see the red light bright as day. Of course, if I held one hand over, I didn't tell you that part, through this eye, with that glasses on, over that contact, I could read the giant sign that said Dollar Tree. And so I texted the doctor. By this time, you know, they give me a secret text number to text them. Sometimes they answer and sometimes they don't. And said I accidentally had on prescription sunglasses that I got for reading if I was sitting at a table outside and I needed to see something. Accidentally had them on and I could see to drive if I covered up one eye. And so that's when we started going with the contact in this eye to help. But anyways, get the good glasses. You have to have these on if you're going to have to drive. You have to have these on if you're going to walk outside in your yard. You have to have these to walk from your car in a parking lot to the store. And in some stores, big stores especially, Sam's Club, Walmart, Hobby Lobby, you're probably going to have to wear them inside and look like a fool, because There's no other way to keep the big blowers that they have in those stores at the overhead lights from blinding you. You could get a lighter, smaller pair that doesn't look as foolish for wearing inside the store. I just wear these. Paid $250 for these suckers. I'm going to wear them. Know and accept your limitations. You know, I can't do the stuff I used to do. I can't, you know, I'm an artist. I can't paint a detailed something anymore because I can't see a detailed something. I can't get up to it like this trying to see to do a detailed something. I'm not going to let that control my life. Now I paint abstract. Doesn't matter if my lines are straight. It doesn't matter if the colors match or blend over or run over. I'm still an artist, and LASIK surgery is not going to take that away from me. Know what your limitations are, but there's also things you can still do. Find something new that you love. You know, find something new you love. I can still, if I need to use my tablet, which is right here, I can still for 30 minutes at a time or so with this contact and with these glasses, or this is the glasses of the week. This prescription has changed probably 10 times over the last little over a year. If you begin to eyes tire after, 20 minutes and you can't see clear and you're blinking a lot and your blood pressure's going up, you wouldn't believe what has happened to my blood pressure because of the anxiety and stress that this has caused me. But anyways, go try a different pair. Just try a different pair. And because sometimes that fluctuates. Take the fish oil. Two other really good supplements are called zeaxanthin and lutein. Take those eye supplements. Take them. And that fish oil. And also one other thing. I told you that I sleep with a sleep mask. Well, I've always slept with a sleep mask since I was a teenager because I don't sleep well. But there's a new one, and I'll see if I can find a link. I don't know if I can or not, but because I see it on Facebook now and then. But it's called Manta, M-A-N-T-A, Manta Sleep. And it's a sleep mask that goes around, but it has two different, they're like donuts that Velcro onto the thing. So you can go with the shape and the width of your eyes, and that way it'll fit you perfectly. And it's not mashing up against your eye, so you're not chancing having eye discomfort in your sleep. Probably now at this point, 25% of the time, I look like, a druggie from the 70s because my eyes are so red. But that's because of the dryness and the eye pain from strain from trying to see at my computer. I still can't work very often. But I try to come to work at least 3 to 4 times a week. I had to do more training for all our staff. We had to hire 3 more staff members. But we're still trying to work and give, our community everything we can here at this business. But if you have any questions for me, if you've had this surgery and you feel like there's no hope, message me. Because I've been where you're at. If you're at that tough mark, I've been there. And I made it past it. And it may not look like it today. I cannot believe all this crying I did. It may not look like it's ever going to get better. And I'm not going to lie to you. Some things are never going to get better. It doesn't, or they're never going to get better. They haven't for me at, over a year and a half in, or a year and a half in, never how far it is. But they're copable. You know what I mean? There's people that have worse things in life going on. There's people who love you, whether you can see or whether you can't. There's art you can do with your eyes closed and finger paint that people will love if you're an artist like me. If you're a writer, you can dictate. If you're a reader, you can listen to Alexa and Audible. I do it all the time. I never knew how much I would use something like that. But I was a big reader before, and I can't read books anymore. Even with this, my being an avid reader is over. Or at least for now, it's over. But I listen to Audible. I'm still getting my stories in. I'm still getting my art in. I come to work. I can't work the cash register because there's a light overhead. I can't make all the drinks because I can't see the recipes. I can't help customers if you have to read the labels on the supplements, but most of them I have memorized and I know what they're good for. And I'm still worthy. I don't know that I've ever said this. I am still worthy as a human being to my business, to my family, to my community. Whether I can see or whether I can't, I'm still worthwhile, and you're still worthwhile. I hope this helps somebody. I'm almost embarrassed now to share it because I cried like a stupid baby all the way through. And I think it did good for me today to talk about it. And if I can help anybody and you're feeling down, you contact me and I'll do what I can to help you through the rough time and to let you know it gets better. It may not ever get like it was, but it gets better. And you are worth it. Thanks for listening.